Greetings, everyone. Court is now in session, and the accused stand before you is this knife. This knife tried to mash up my life. Why you did it? Hmm? Why would you do that? I cook. Hmm? You stand charged and found guilty for chopping off my finger. Look here. How do you plead? Guilty or not guilty? No, this is what I wanted to make. This is what I intended to prepare this delicious goodness. And this knife decided it wanted to tamper with the process of doing this. But I didn't let it. I went away and I came back and I was more determined. Now, as much as I'm starting out joking around, I want to say to women and men too. But I'm talking to the single mothers. I'm talking to the women who are holding down the household. I'm saying to you, better must come. So let me start with a story. I remember my children were about 5 and one was a newborn. And it was a long weekend. And it's not like today when you have bank cards and you can access your money at all times. I remember finding myself in a desperate situation on a long weekend when the bank wouldn't be open until the Tuesday. And when I looked into my cupboard, all I had was a box of macaroni and cheese. And I had some cornmeal and I had sugar. And I thought, how am I going to survive with this for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 days? It was like a 4 day weekend. So on the Friday, I made macaroni and cheese. And actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't a newborn. It was around a 7. I think the one was about 7 and the other would have been 2. And so I made macaroni and cheese and I gave it to them. And of course, I had milk and things like that in the fridge, but that's the only thing I had in my cupboard, and I didn't have access to any money until the Tuesday. When I gave the kids the macaroni and cheese, and they have little snacks here and there, and having their milk, and you have cereal and stuff like that. But those are not hearty stuff, so you still have to prepare meals. I had the macaroni. The next day, when I looked around, I had leftover macaroni and I had a pack of the Jamaican soup mix, Maggie, I think. And I poured that in a pot to make a broth and I added the macaroni and cheese to it. And in my household, I always have names for all kinds of stuff. I always create my own names to try to make it appetizing for the kids to eat. And they had that. And the next day, the cornmeal, I used some of the broth that's left over from the soup to add to the cornmeal and made turned cornmeal. And I told them it was cornmeal stroganoff. What is the message here? I'm telling you that I've been through hard times. And when I look back at some of those moments, I can laugh about it. I can laugh about times when me and my partner was looking at the big picture down the road and we were saying we can't keep living like this because we are renters, and every time we find ourselves living in a particular space, our landlord wants to double that rent, so they would try to give you notice so that the next year they can put it up because we have no rent cap. And so they have found a loophole how they can rent their house out for more money without staying at the cap. So if I pay $1,000 this a month this year, they can bring it up 1,800 next year. There's no way to monitor that to say you can't rent it for whatever. And so as tenants, we were moving a lot. And we got to the point where we were fighting a lot too. After a while, you get tired of that because you're moving every year and you have a child and you're saying, I can't, this is too unstable. This instability is not good for a child, especially when they have to move from school to schools, and some of the problems we were having at schools to begin with. The child or last child was not getting a chance to, settle down. And so we had to make some decisions. And in the process of making those decisions, there has to be cutbacks. Finances within a relationship is very important. If you're not monitoring that, if you look closely, a lot of people get divorced because of financial problems that they're having. Financial issues that dwell within the household, and people's, stress, and people, struggling. And it's not everybody that's get closer because when they're going through a hard time. Some people are actually, household gets divided because of it. And so we had to make decisions that was best for ourselves and our life. And that meant that we had to tighten our belt. That meant that we had to sacrifice some things. That means we had to separate from each other, saying to ourselves, well, this has to be done. It is important to repair your body, mind, and spirit by making decisions and choices in your life that is going to allow you to bring about the reality that you seek. Sacrifice has to come first before you can benefit. And some of the sacrifice that I see, and I'm, doing this video for someone who reached out to me and told me some very personal things about what's going on in her relationship as a result of these financial woes that we all face from time to time, And I'm saying that I understand exactly what you're saying, JLK. This is for you. I know everything that you're saying. I can relate to the instability that you're talking about. I've been there. But one of the things I'm going to say is sometimes we have to learn to buckle down. We have to learn to sacrifice some things. I love to get my nails done. And at a particular time in my life, I realized going to get my nails that only last for 2 weeks would run me anywhere between $60 to $100. And my hands look beautiful and all that. And I feel confident and nice. It's one of those pick her up for a woman to feel good about yourself. But, after washing your dishes 2 or 3 times, that stuff starts fading. And then what? So you have to be prepared to give up some things. And, you have to prepare to sacrifice sometimes even your pride. Sometimes you're going to have to downsize and live in that 1 bedroom, all of you. Sometimes you're going to have to stay in that basement apartment. Sometimes you're going to have to live in a place that you feel almost embarrassed to live in, just so you can recoup, just so you can start, get to the point where you can start bringing that bank balance into the positive. You have to stop eating out. You have to start spending your money in places that allow you to, save. You have to start buying things that are on sale. Now, in another video, I could talk about how you can scale back on some of these expenses, where you go to save, purchase your groceries and things like that to save. Different tips on how you can save money. But bottom line is how to really not just be satisfied, because I'm not saying be satisfied and be content in your situation forever. I'm just saying there are times when you're going to have to make these sacrifices where you're going to have to be content. Not everyone has to know that you're going through a hard time or you're suffering. Sometimes you need to stay there and work it out on your own. That you don't give credit to man, but you give credit to the universe, the creator, for keeping you and strengthening you. And sometimes even your closest friends don't have to know what is going on in your household. Be okay with eating your dumpling. If you're from the Caribbean, you eat your dumpling with some tomato or some butter. It's okay. Nobody has to know because nothing stays the same forever. So you humble yourself. I've done that. Now, I have to say, there is someone bigger than myself. There are entities that really are here to govern this universe and to watch over us. And when we want something in our life, we have to be prepared to work hard towards it, but not just that, to be prepared to sacrifice some things, surrender to your desires, and work towards them in a way that means that you understand that there are times when there are going to be shortfalls, there are times when there are going to be things lacking in your life, but you don't look at that. You look at the long term. When my kids were little, I didn't always have money to buy birthday cakes for them. There were times when I made my own and I wasn't very good at it. Sometimes they look like, some kind of horror cake, but they enjoyed it. And the thing is, when they were older and I was able to buy these cakes for them, they still wanted me to make it. And when I make things in my household now, they tell me it's better than the one that I purchased. And so, this baby here, I'm about to share it with me and my daughter. And I thought of, responding to someone who reached out to me and to also, lighten your mood, to encourage you, to say to you that, better must come. Don't allow yourself to be abused by people because you're going through struggles or you're suffering. Some of us, we abandon that thing in us that make us go out there and push ourselves to do what is right. We just have this mentality where we expect everything to fall in our lap. We don't want any hardship. We don't want any struggles. We just want everything to be okay. And if people are not ready to meet our expectation, we get so upset, so belligerent. Learn to do without. This is why I'll tell my young people that whenever I'm doing anything for anybody, you can't demand it from me. Because even if I wanted to do it and you started to make it seem like I have to, I change my mind. And you can't show me no house that is leaking. And you can't show me any of these things that I have gone through in my life and make me think that your life is over and it's the worst thing that could happen to you. Because I have been there and I understand it. And I'm saying to you, as much as you need help, I'm saying that the best help you can receive from anyone is the one that you give to yourself. And so I always say, what can you do to help yourself? And my mantra is to create support for people so that they can help themselves. So I don't have to insult you or hate you. Because sometimes you insult folks, some people will insult you because they see your vulnerability. And sometimes I have to hate you because I am there to do for you. And especially when you're doing and it's not altruistic. I'm going to expect you to forever love and worship me. We get to that place where there's an emptiness in us and we want to help other folks based on that emptiness that's in us. But that emptiness is never filled by what you do for other persons if you're just waiting for them to say thank you. And so I know in the past I've done things to try to fill that emptiness, but it was not from a good place. And so when, I didn't receive the gratitude, or when I looked at it and I saw I wasted my money, or, whatever it is you go through when you're doing things for the wrong reason. You might have the best intention, but if you're doing it for the wrong reason, you're always going to be, feeling dissatisfied. Do the thing until you become good at it. Just a few years ago, I didn't know how to cook most Jamaican food, believe it or not. Most of my food that I cook was pasta, or stuff that I bake in the oven, or I was not good at making Jamaican food. My current husband taught me a lot of stuff, taught me how to make cornmeal porridge, taught me how to make rice and peas. These are things that I never used to make in my household prior. For 18 years before meeting him, I never did any of those things. I learned how to do a few things, but I wasn't very good at it. It's after I met him. Like baking something like a sweet potato pudding wasn't something I knew how to make. I just watched him and experiment. I'm still not perfect at it, but I can help myself. And let me tell you, it tastes good. It tastes good. But I remember those days when I was struggling financially and how no one knew that I was going through these things. And if and when anyone had a glimmer of what was happening, and they helped, as I shared that story with, giving birth and being sick and having my friend come to knock on a door, at a window, at a shelter that I was staying, and provided me with my sustenance. But I didn't tell her. I didn't call her and say, "Oh, I'm hungry, do this for me." I didn't. I prayed and I waited for the answer. You know, I might be rambling here, people. And I started out joking. But let me tell you this, whatever situation you find yourself in, surrender to it at the moment. That doesn't mean that you're succumbing to it, but you surrender. You allow the process to unfold. It's not every gift that you receive from people is something for you to celebrate. It's not everyone that gives you something that you actually have to take. These blessings will come into your life, and when you recognize that they're true blessings, they come without sorrows. They come with sorrows. People who genuinely care for you and genuinely love you and make an offering to you that is sincere, that is a gift from the Most High. You'll know. As was the story when I was in the church that day, and this female came over to me. Never exchanged word with her before that, I don't think. And she told me that, she was told to give me $100. I needed that $100. I took it. I said thanks. But this woman stayed far away from me. She didn't do it because she was trying to get attention. She did it because she was obedient. And the moment she stepped to me and she said what she said, I knew that this was not just a gift from her, but it was a divine intervention. Yes, so hopefully you've looked at this cake long enough to have your mouth water. Oh my goodness, look at this. Hope your mouth is watering and you're like jealous, and you're gonna get up from where you are and you're gonna get some sweet potato and some coconut and some sugar, and you're gonna mix something up and you're gonna make it. And even if it doesn't turn out perfect, you're gonna enjoy it and you're gonna give thanks for it. And you're gonna take the cornmeal, and you're gonna turn that with some salt and maybe some margarine, and you're gonna eat that and you're gonna pray over it, and you're going to give thanks, and you're going to say, better must come, better will come one day soon. Mm-mm. I can't wait to bite into this. Stay blessed.